Hey guys, so here we go. I'm going to teach you how to make this really easy face mask. Here's my prototype version I played around with since Cody left his at work. I'm not going to go into a long drawn out story about how my grandma taught me to sew like every Pinterest article you ever come across, so we'll just get into it. So here are the basic materials you need. As you can see, I already cut this shirt. I cut the sleeve off to practice my sewing with on my sewing machine, so ignore that. But normally I would actually cut higher. This was the first one I played around with, but it's just here to show you what I did. And then you're left with you're left with the bottom, which I cut the sides on to give you two, because you don't need that. That's way too much fabric. And then I also have a hoodie string. You don't have to use a hoodie string. You use anything that's about that long, but I personally don't even give a crap about having a hoodie string in my hoodie. I'm not cinching it around my head anytime soon, so free material. So one thing I do recommend using is whatever you call these, safety, I don't know, pins. To mark where you're going to be stitching, so you have like a guide. Like I marked right here, even though I wasn't stitching there, just to keep it together. And then when I went to stitch this, I had it on the very edges to keep it together. You don't have to use this either, but if you have it, a white colored pencil just to mark where you're gonna cut so it's not too crazy. Don't have to use this. I didn't even use it, but if you don't want to stitch, you could use iron-on tape. So totally sewless way to do this. And scissors. Obviously you have Dollar Tree scissors. They are really shitty, so if they can do it, anyone can. And thread if you're gonna sew. So first thing you're gonna do is cut. The higher, really, the better. This was a really small shirt because it's like from when I joined the Coast Guard. And I'm using this material because it's actually required for military members, at least in the Coast Guard right now, to wear the mask. So I'm just using this to make extras. But if your shirt isn't like a size, I can't even tell. Look how old this shirt is. The tag's gone. This was probably a size small. So if you have anything bigger, you don't have to necessarily go up to the armpit, which I wish I would have initially because it was very short on space. But, just play around with it. So after you make your cut here, like I showed before, I just kind of held it and then cut like right through here to make two of them. And then you're going to eventually cut this in half as well. I can't remember which way, but we're not doing that part yet. Okay, so first you're going to fold this part down, the cut side, just because it doesn't really look good. You'll have to play around with it. You want this to just barely overlap that so that you have the most material, because this is the part that's going to go over your face. So, as you see, barely. And then hold it by the corners and flip. And then you're going to fold again, and you should go right up to each other. So, getting it even. There, first step. So from here, this is where you're gonna have your hoodie string. I like to keep mine, make sure you have a little knot there, so, because it's gonna be sewn into it, like that basically. And if this comes out just like a hoodie, it's really hard to get it back into. So have a little knot. And then I did just a quick little like square knot just to keep it from moving around on me. So this is where you'll decide if you want to half this and get two masks out of it, and that's how I did Cody's, or you want to do a big one. In that case is where you're using the hem tape, because if you do the iron-on tape, you're not going to have enough room if you half this. It's going to be barely any. So you would figure out how wide you want it and then cut the excess. So say this was smaller, I could do the hemming tape right here, where you iron it on. But okay, so now I'm gonna hold it and flip it back, and this is where I'm gonna just like make a mark into it so it doesn't move on me. This isn't gonna stay. Okay, so now flip it again. See, it's still the same. Fold in half. And I'm going to cut here so that I can make this into two. Okay, so you're going to cut like that. Now you have two masks. So here's my crappy prototype that I messed up on, but you can kind of see what I'm doing here. This is the front. This is where the strings are going to go. And then you'll have this little area you could, which normally would be a little closer, where you could put like a coffee filter if you really wanted. So, okay, so you have it like that now. That's in the center just to keep things together. Flip it back upside down. This is where I take the hoodie string. You want the loop end on that side. Doesn't really matter, but I do it to keep things easy. Now you want this as close to the sides as possible so you get the most width out of your mask, but still being able to sew. And that's why I said if you're doing it with the tape, you want a little more room to work with. But here I'm going to go ahead and pin. Now this will move around, so it doesn't matter how much slack you have. You just need it in there so it's easy later on. So I'll take that and I'll pinch this over. And that's when I'll take a pin and the very edge of it, just mark it so that when I'm sewing, it doesn't move around on me. And then I like to do two, just to keep things smooth. That's good enough. So then you're gonna sew right through here. This is where I either do it on my sewing machine or you can do it by hand. Doing by hand is fine, it just takes more time. I own a sewing machine, I might as well use it. So here we go. All right, I already sewed one side. As you can see, it's not perfect. It's actually quite janky. Got away from me a little, but it doesn't matter because it works. It'll leave you with two strings, which I don't know if this is the proper way, but I just knot them a bunch of times close to the base and cut. If you're doing this with by hand, not a machine, then you'll be left with one string, which you just need to knot in as close to the base as possible and then cut. I actually will even burn it, like an old Irish pendant way, if anyone knows with Marines and all that. And that singes it and closes it off so it doesn't keep going further. Okay, so now I'm going to sew this part so you can see. Careful not to sew this into there because this needs to be able to move around. Ideally, you'd have a little more slack, but I didn't because I cut a shirt in half and this is what I was left with. But it was a small shirt, so you could probably still cut a shirt in half. Just be mindful. Okay. Here's the sewn finished. I'm going to take these out. Now I will tie these next. I'll show you what that's like and how to wear it after, okay? Okay, so this is my last one. Bijou is growling at the TV. Okay. I am burning it, so I'm just showing you what I mean by Irish pendant. And that just makes it singe like there, and a little ball happens and it stops it from like running. Okay, so don't want to leave that in, that would hurt. There's your mask. So you basically can tie it to however you want for your size of your head. So I'm going to show you how that's done on Cody. So this is how it looks on the inside. There's a little flap here. You could put the coffee filters like people talk about in, or just leave it. This is a great way to do it if you want one, you're in the military and they're requiring you to wear one, non-medical of course, and it's easily taken on and off. So Cody's going to show us how you do it. Over the ear, and then tighten it, and tie. He wore it all day at work today and said it was really comfortable. So it's been tested. Goes over the nose. Now, if you wanted to get creative, you could do the wire in here. You could do a pipe cleaner. You could do that gardening wire. You could do a paper clip to make it kind of cinch over the nose. We didn't, but you could. And I just like to make sure that's nice and tucked. So that's it. If you found this helpful, please let me know. If you think this was a waste of your time, cool, whatever. If this helps one person, then it was worth it.